The clock on my nightstand glowed 3:17 a.m. when I heard Zoya's car door slam in our driveway. I'd been lying awake for 2 hours, staring at the ceiling of our modest two-bedroom house on Maple Street, listening to the October wind rattle our loose gutters. Through the thin walls, I could hear Mrs. Blevins next door shuffling around her kitchen. That woman never slept, always watching, always listening. My name is Colby Varron, and I fix things for a living. Circuit boards, busted televisions, anything electronic that people in Briar Lake manage to break. It's honest work, and it pays the bills, though it never impressed Zoya's family much. They always looked at me like I was some kind of charity case she'd picked up in high school and never quite managed to shake loose. The front door opened with that familiar squeak I'd been meaning to fix for months. Zoya's heels clicked across our hardwood floors, unsteady, erratic. She was trying to be quiet, but whiskey and coordination don't mix well. I could smell it from the bedroom, cheap bar whiskey mixed with cigarette smoke and something else. Cologne. Not mine. She stumbled into our bedroom, her dark hair messed up, lipstick smeared, that little black dress she'd worn to her girls' night out, wrinkled and riding up her thighs. Zoya was still beautiful at 36, with those sharp green eyes that had caught my attention back in high school. But tonight, those eyes were glassy, unfocused, and filled with something I'd never seen before. Defiance. "Where were you?" I asked, keeping my voice level. No accusation, no anger, just curiosity. She kicked off her heels and laughed, a bitter sound that didn't belong in our bedroom. "Out having fun. Remember fun, Colby? That thing people do when they're not fixing broken televisions all day?" I sat up against the headboard, studying her face in the dim light from the street lamp outside our window. "With who?" "Friends." She started pulling off her earrings, dropping them on the dresser with little metallic clinks. "People you wouldn't know." "Try me." Zoya turned around then, and I saw something in her expression that made my stomach clench. Not guilt, not shame, pure, unadulterated entitlement. "We're not married yet, Colby. I can do whatever I want." The words hung in the air between us like smoke. Our wedding was scheduled for next Saturday, October 28th. The venue was booked, the caterer paid, the flowers ordered. Zoya's dress was hanging in our closet, still wrapped in plastic. The rings were sitting in my sock drawer, 2 simple gold bands that had cost me 3 months of overtime. I nodded slowly. "You're right. We're not." She blinked, clearly expecting a fight. When I didn't give her one, confusion flickered across her face. "Good. I'm glad we understand each other." "We do." I lay back down, pulling the covers up to my chest. "Good night, Zoya." She stood there for another minute, swaying slightly, waiting for me to explode. When I didn't, she grabbed her pajamas and headed for the bathroom. The shower ran for 20 minutes. When she finally came to bed, she stayed on her side, as far from me as possible. I listened to her breathing until it evened out into sleep. Then I got up and walked to the kitchen. The wedding folder was sitting on our small dining table, thick with contracts and receipts. Everything organized alphabetically, because that's how I do things. Venue contract with Briar Lake Community Center. Band agreement with the Riverside Boys. Photography package with Martinez Studios. Catering contract with Hometown Delights. All of it in my name. All of it paid for with my money. I made coffee and sat at the table, flipping through the papers as the sun came up over Briar Lake. Our little town was starting to wake up. I could see Mr. Henderson across the street getting his newspaper, Mrs. Chen walking her ancient beagle, the morning joggers heading toward the lake trail. My phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Great seeing you tonight. Can't wait for next time. D." The phone was Zoya's. She'd left it on the kitchen counter next to her purse. D. I knew exactly who D was. Deacon Cross. Deke to his friends, back when I'd been one of them. We'd grown up together, played football together, even been best man at each other's first weddings. His had lasted 3 years. Mine was supposed to start in 8 days. Deke owned Cross Motors now, the biggest used car lot in Briar Lake. He'd inherited it from his father and turned it into something flashy and successful. The kind of success that impressed people like Zoya's family. The kind of success that made women forget about their boring fiancés who fixed circuit boards for a living. I scrolled through the message history. 3 months of texts, hotel room numbers, meeting times, pictures I didn't want to see. The coffee tasted like ash in my mouth. I put the phone back where I'd found it and returned to the wedding folder. Every contract had cancellation clauses. Most vendors required 48 hours notice. A few required a week. Today was Sunday. The wedding was next Saturday. I had exactly what I needed. By the time Zoya woke up at 11, I was already dressed and ready to go. She shuffled into the kitchen wearing her old college sweatshirt, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, looking like the girl I'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. "Coffee?" she asked, not meeting my eyes. "Made a pot an hour ago. Should still be warm." She poured herself a cup and sat across from me at the table. The wedding folder was still open between us. "About last night," she started. "Don't worry about it." I closed the folder and stood up. "You were right. We're not married yet." Relief flickered across her face. "I'm glad you understand." "I do. Better than you think." I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair. "I've got some errands to run today. Wedding stuff." "Want me to come with you?" "No need. I've got it handled." I kissed her forehead, the same way I had every morning for the past 2 years. She smiled up at me, probably thinking she'd dodged a bullet. She had no idea what was coming. The Briar Lake Community Center sat on the edge of downtown, a converted Victorian mansion that the city had bought and renovated in the 90s. It was where everyone in town got married, had their anniversary parties, celebrated their kids' graduations. The walls were covered with decades of happy memories. Mine wouldn't be joining them. Margaret Holloway had been the event coordinator for 20 years. She knew every family in town, had planned every major celebration, and took pride in never having a wedding canceled. She was going to remember this day for a long time. "Colby," she beamed when I walked into her office. "Just 1 more week. How are you feeling? Nervous? Excited?" "Actually, Margaret, that's why I'm here." I pulled out the contract and set it on her desk. "I need to cancel." Her smile faltered. "Cancel? But the wedding is Saturday, I know. But according to Section 12 of our agreement, I can cancel up to 48 hours before the event with a 50% refund of the deposit." She stared at me like I'd just told her the moon was made of cheese. "Colby, honey, is everything all right? Did you and Zoya have a fight? These things happen. Pre-wedding jitters are completely normal." "Everything's fine, Margaret. I just won't be needing the venue anymore." Her hands fluttered over the contract like she was afraid to touch it. "But what about Zoya? What about the guests? People have made plans, bought gifts." "I'll handle the guest notifications. Can you process the cancellation today?" Margaret looked like she might cry. In 20 years, this had never happened to her. "Are you sure about this? Once I process the paperwork, there's no going back. And finding another venue this close to the date." "I'm sure." She reluctantly pulled out her cancellation forms. "I'll need your signature here and initial there." I signed everything with the same careful precision I used when repairing delicate electronics. Margaret processed my refund check with shaking hands. "The deposit refund will be available Tuesday," she said quietly. "Thank you, Margaret. You've been wonderful to work with." I left her sitting at her desk, staring at the cancellation paperwork like it might spontaneously combust. Next stop, Martinez Studios. Carlos Martinez had photographed half the weddings in Briar Lake over the past decade. His studio was downtown, above the old hardware store, filled with portraits of happy couples and growing families. He was editing photos when I walked in. his computer screen showing a young bride laughing as her new husband dipped her dramatically. "Colby, my friend!" Carlos jumped up and shook my hand enthusiastically. "One more week. You ready to make some beautiful pictures?" "Actually, Carlos, I need to cancel our package." His smile disappeared instantly. "Cancel? But why? Did I do something wrong?" "Nothing like that. I just won't be needing wedding photos anymore." Carlos sat down heavily in his chair. "This is very unusual, my friend. Very unusual. The wedding is next week." I pulled out our contract. "According to our agreement, I can cancel up to 72 hours before the event. That gives me until Wednesday." "Yes, but—" He gestured helplessly at his computer. "I have turned down other bookings for your day. This will cost me money." "I understand, and I'm sorry about the short notice, but I'm within the contract terms." Carlos processed the cancellation with obvious reluctance, muttering in Spanish under his breath. I caught enough to know he wasn't complimenting my decision-making skills. The Riverside boys were next. They were setting up for a Sunday afternoon gig at Murphy's Tavern when I found them. Jake Riverside, the lead guitarist, was tuning his instrument when I approached. "Colby, ready to party next Saturday?" "Actually, Jake, I need to cancel the booking." The entire band stopped what they were doing and stared at me. Jake set down his guitar. "Cancel? Dude, the wedding's next weekend." "I know, but I won't be needing a band anymore." "What happened? Did Zoya change her mind about the song list?" "Because we can learn whatever she wants. We've got a whole week." "It's not about the music, Jake. The wedding's off." They exchanged glances. In a town like Briar Lake, news traveled fast, and a canceled wedding was front-page gossip material. "Sorry to hear that, man," Jake said finally. "But we've got a contract." "I know. Cancellation clause is in Section 8. Full refund if canceled more than 48 hours in advance." Jake pulled out his copy of our agreement and read through it. "Yeah, okay. You're right. We'll process the refund." "Thanks. You guys are professionals." "Hey, Colby," Jake called as I was leaving. "You sure about this? Zoya's a good woman." "She is," I agreed. "Just not for me." Hometown Delights was my last stop. Betty Kowalski ran the catering company out of her house, and she'd been planning our menu for months. She answered the door wearing an apron covered in flour, her gray hair pulled back in a net. "Colby, perfect timing. I was just testing the cake recipe. Want to try a piece?" "Actually, Betty, I need to talk to you about the wedding." Her face fell immediately. After 30 years in the catering business, she could read the signs. "Oh, honey, what happened?" "I need to cancel our catering contract." Betty wiped her hands on her apron and invited me into her kitchen. The smell of vanilla and butter filled the air. On the counter sat a small practice cake, perfectly decorated with white roses. "That's beautiful work, Betty." "Thank you." She sat down across from me at her kitchen table. "Now tell me what's going on." "The wedding's off. I know it's short notice, but according to our contract—" "Forget the contract." Betty waved her hand dismissively. "Are you all right? You look like a man who's been punched in the gut." For the first time all day, my composure cracked slightly. Betty had known me since I was a kid. She'd catered my high school graduation party, my parents' anniversary celebrations, every major event in my life. "I'm fine, Betty, just making some necessary changes." She studied my face with the keen eye of someone who'd seen a lot of life. "That girl hurt you." It wasn't a question. "The contract has a cancellation clause," I said instead of answering. Betty sighed and pulled out her paperwork. 48 hours notice, 50% refund, I know. She filled out the cancellation form. "But honey, I've been doing this for 30 years. Sometimes people get cold feet. Sometimes they say things they don't mean. Are you sure this can't be worked out?" "I'm sure." She handed me the form to sign. "Well, if you ever need catering for anything else, a birthday party, a holiday dinner, maybe a second wedding, you call me." "Thanks, Betty, I will." As I drove home, My phone started buzzing with text messages. Word was already spreading through Briar Lake's gossip network. Margaret had probably called her sister, who'd called her neighbor, who'd called her book club. By dinner time, half the town would know that Colby Varron had canceled his wedding, but not Zoya. Not yet. I stopped at the bank and deposited the refund checks, then swung by the jewelry store where I'd bought our rings. Frank Delacroix had owned Delacroix Jewelers for 40 years. He'd sold engagement rings to 3 generations of Briar Lake families. "Colby," Frank looked up from the watch he was repairing. "Getting nervous? The big day's almost here." "Actually, Frank, I need to return the rings." Frank's hands stilled on the watch. "Return them? But why?" I pulled the ring box from my jacket pocket and set it on his counter. "The wedding's off." Frank opened the box and looked at the simple gold bands we'd chosen together 3 months ago. "These are beautiful rings, Colby. Classic. Timeless. They are, but I won't be needing them." "What happened, if you don't mind me asking?" "Just didn't work out." Frank processed the return silently, his experienced hands moving with practiced efficiency. "Store credit or refund?" "Refund, please." He handed me the receipt. "I'm sorry, son. I really am." "Thanks, Frank." When I got home, Zoya was on the couch watching television, still in her sweatshirt and pajama pants. She looked up when I walked in. "How were your errands?" "Productive." I sat down beside her. "What are you watching?" "Some romantic comedy. Jennifer Lopez falls in love with her wedding planner." The irony wasn't lost on me. "Sounds entertaining." Zoya curled up against my side, and for a moment, she felt like the woman I'd fallen in love with. "I'm sorry about last night, Colby. I had too much to drink, and I said some stupid things." "Don't worry about it. I love you, you know that, right?" "I know." She was quiet for a while, watching Jennifer Lopez navigate her fictional romantic complications. "Are you excited about next week? Our wedding?" "It's going to be memorable." That night, Zoya fell asleep early, exhausted from her late night and the emotional hangover that followed. I sat at my computer and opened my email. The guest list was in my contacts folder. 68 people: family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, people who'd bought gifts, requested time off work, made babysitting arrangements, booked hotel rooms. I started typing, subject, wedding cancellation, October 28th. Dear friends and family, due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding of Colby Varron and Zoya Haldenor, scheduled for October 28th, has been canceled. All vendors have been notified and deposits refunded. Please disregard any previous invitations. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Sincerely, Colby Varron. I attached the vendor cancellation confirmations and hit send. 68 people would wake up tomorrow morning to find that email in their inboxes. 68 people would start making phone calls, asking questions, spreading the news. By noon tomorrow, everyone in Briar Lake would know that Colby Varron had canceled his wedding. Everyone except the bride. Monday morning arrived gray and drizzling, the kind of October weather that made Briar Lake look like a postcard from somewhere people actually wanted to visit. Zoya left for work at 7:30, kissing me goodbye at the door like nothing had changed. She was wearing her navy blue power suit, the one she wore when she had important meetings at the law firm. "I'll be late tonight," she said, adjusting her briefcase strap. "Big case coming up." "Sure thing. I'll grab dinner for myself." She paused at the door. "You seem different today. Happy. It's nice. Just looking forward to the future." After her car disappeared down Maple Street, I poured myself another cup of coffee and opened my laptop. My email inbox was already exploding. 68 responses and counting. "What happened? Call me." "Mom, are you okay? This is so sudden." Cousin Mike. "Holy crap, dude. What did she do?" My brother Danny. "I'm so sorry, honey. Do you need anything?" Betty Kowalski. The phone started ringing at 8:15. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again 5 minutes later. And again. By 9 o'clock, I'd received 14 calls and twice as many text messages. The doorbell rang at 9:30. Through the peephole, I could see Iris Haldenor standing on my front porch, holding 2 cups of coffee and looking concerned. Zoya's younger sister was everything Zoya used to be: kind, genuine, unpretentious. She taught 3rd grade at Briar Lake Elementary and drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic that she kept running with duct tape and determination. "Hey, Iris." I opened the door and stepped aside to let her in. "Hey, yourself." She handed me one of the coffee cups. "I got your email. Figured you might have some questions." Iris sat down at my kitchen table, the same spot where I'd signed all those cancellation forms yesterday. She was prettier than Zoya in a quieter way, with the same green eyes but softer features. Today, she looked worried. "What happened, Colby? And don't give me some vague answer about unforeseen circumstances. I've known you for 8 years. You don't make impulsive decisions." I sat across from her and sipped the coffee. It was perfect. Cream, no sugar, exactly how I liked it. Iris paid attention to details like that. "Your sister came home Saturday night at 3 in the morning, smelling like whiskey and someone else's cologne. When I asked where she'd been, she told me we weren't married yet, so she could do whatever she wanted." Iris closed her eyes. "Oh, Zoya, what did you do?" "I found text messages on her phone. 3 months' worth. From Deacon Cross." "Deke?" Iris's voice was barely a whisper. "Your friend Deke?" "Former friend. Apparently he's been keeping Zoya entertained while I've been working overtime to pay for our wedding." Iris stared into her coffee cup like it might contain answers. "I'm so sorry, Colby. I had no idea." "Nobody did. They were careful." "What are you going to do?" "I've already done it. Canceled everything yesterday. Venue, band, photographer, catering. Returned the rings. Sent the email to the guest list." Iris looked up sharply. "Does Zoya know?" "Not yet." "Colby, she's going to find out. People are already calling me. Mrs. Patterson from down the street stopped me on my way to work this morning. The whole town's talking about it." "Good. Let them talk." Iris studied my face with those perceptive green eyes. "You're angry. Wouldn't you be?" "Yes, but this seems calculated, cold." Zoya made her choice. I made mine. We sat in silence for a few minutes, listening to the rain against the windows. Finally, Iris spoke again. "What about the honeymoon? You guys were supposed to go to Cancun, right? 2 tickets to Mexico, non-refundable, leaving Friday morning, coming back the following Sunday. That's a lot of money to just lose." I looked at Iris carefully. She was wearing a simple blue dress that brought out her eyes, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She looked tired. Teaching 28 third graders would exhaust anyone, but there was something else in her expression. Something I'd noticed before, but never acted on. "It doesn't have to be lost," I said slowly. Iris raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "The tickets are in my name. I can change the passenger information for a small fee." "You're going to go by yourself?" I was thinking about asking someone to come with me. Understanding dawned in her eyes. "Colby, hear me out. You've been working yourself into the ground at that school. When's the last time you took a real vacation? When's the last time someone treated you the way you deserve to be treated? You're talking about going on your honeymoon with your fiancée's sister. I'm talking about going on a vacation with a friend who's never had anyone appreciate her properly." Iris was quiet for a long moment. "This would destroy my relationship with Zoya." "What relationship? When's the last time she called you? When's the last time she asked how you were doing, or if you needed anything, or if you were happy?" Iris couldn't answer, because we both knew the truth. Zoya had been too busy climbing the social ladder to maintain relationships with people who couldn't help her climb higher. She's still my sister. And she's still my fiancée, technically. Until Saturday, anyway. This is crazy, Colby. Maybe, But I've been responsible and reasonable my whole life. I've played by the rules, done the right thing, been the good guy. And where did it get me? Engaged to a woman who's been cheating on me with my best friend for 3 months. Iris stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the gray morning. If I said yes, and I'm not saying I am, but if I said yes, what would that mean? For us, I mean. It would mean a week in Mexico with someone who actually wants to be there. No expectations, no pressure. Just two people who deserve better than they've been getting. She turned back to face me. You've thought about this before. About us. Haven't you? The question hung between us like a challenge. Iris had been coming to family dinners for years, had been at every holiday gathering, every birthday party. We'd talked for hours about books and movies, and life in general. She'd been more supportive of my business than Zoya ever was. She'd listened to my problems, celebrated my successes, and never once made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Yes, she said quietly. I have. So? Iris sat back down at the table. When would we leave? Friday morning, flight's at 10:30. I'd have to call in sick for a week. I never call in sick. You have vacation days saved up. Use them. The principal won't be happy about the short notice. The principal will survive. Iris laughed despite herself. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. Pack a bag, meet me at the airport, and let's go somewhere warm where nobody knows our names or our problems. What about Zoya? What happens when she finds out about the canceled wedding? That's her problem to solve. She's going to call you. She's going to be furious. Let her be furious. I'll be on a beach in Mexico. Iris was quiet for a long time, weighing her options. Finally, she pulled out her phone. What are you doing? Calling the school. If I'm going to do this insane thing, I need to request emergency vacation time. I watched her make the call, explaining to the school secretary that she had a family emergency and would need the week off. She was a good liar when she needed to be. Done, she said, hanging up. I can't believe I just did that. Believe it. We leave Friday morning. What do I tell people? My parents are going to ask questions. Tell them the truth. Tell them you're going on vacation with a friend who needed company. And when Zoya finds out? Tell her the truth too. Tell her that her fiancé canceled their wedding because she was cheating, and you decided to use the tickets instead of letting them go to waste. Iris shook her head. This is going to be a disaster. Maybe, but it'll be an interesting disaster. She finished her coffee and stood to leave. I should go. I need to figure out what to pack for Mexico. Pack light. We'll buy whatever you need when we get there. At the door, Iris turned back to me. Colby, are you sure about this? All of it? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. After she left, I sat at my computer and changed the passenger information on the airline tickets. Iris Haldenor would be joining me in Cancun instead of Zoya Haldenor. The change fee was $50, a small price to pay for poetic justice. My phone rang again. This time, it was my mother. Colby James Varron, you answer this phone right now. Hi, Mom. Don't you? Hi, Mom me. What in the world is going on? I got your email this morning and I've been worried sick. The wedding's off, Mom. Zoya and I aren't getting married. But why? What happened? You two seemed so happy. We weren't as happy as we looked. Did you have a fight? These things can be worked out, honey. Pre-wedding stress is normal. It's not stress, Mom. It's over. There was a long pause. Are you all right? Do you want me to come over? I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than I've been in months. You don't sound fine. You sound different. I feel different. Lighter. What are you going to do now? I'm going to Mexico. Mexico? When? Friday. By yourself? With a friend. What friend? Someone who deserves a vacation. My mother was quiet for a moment. She'd always been good at reading between the lines. Colby, please tell me you're not doing anything stupid. Define stupid. You know what I mean. Mom, I've been responsible my whole life. I've made sensible decisions, dated appropriate women, followed all the rules. And where did it get me? It got you a successful business and a nice life. It got me engaged to a woman who's been cheating on me for 3 months. The words hung in the air. I hadn't meant to tell her, but there it was. Oh, honey. My mother's voice was soft now, full of the sympathy I'd been avoiding all morning. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry, Mom. Be happy for me. I figured it out before I made the biggest mistake of my life. Who is she cheating with? Deacon Cross. That boy you grew up with? The one with the car lot? That's the one. Well, I never liked him anyway. Too flashy. Too full of himself. Despite everything, I smiled. My mother had always been a good judge of character. I have to go, Mom. I've got things to take care of before Friday. Call me from Mexico? I will. And Colby, whatever you're planning, be careful. I'm always careful, Mom. After I hung up, I realized she was right. I was planning something. Something that would give me the satisfaction I'd been craving since Saturday night. Something that would make Zoya understand exactly what she'd lost. Saturday morning, while she was getting ready for a wedding that no longer existed, I would be on a plane to Mexico with her sister. The thought made me smile for the first time in days. Tuesday morning brought unseasonably warm weather to Briar Lake, the kind of Indian summer day that made people forget winter was coming. I was in my workshop behind the house, repairing a vintage radio for Mrs. Chen, when my phone started buzzing with frantic energy. Zoya's ringtone. The William Tell Overture, something she'd programmed as a joke because I always answered on the first ring. Today, I let it play through to the end before picking up. Hello? Colby, what the hell is going on? Her voice was sharp, panicked. I just got to work and there are 3 voicemails from Margaret Holloway about canceling our wedding venue. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. I set down my soldering iron and leaned back in my chair. No mistake. Silence. Then, what do you mean, no mistake? Colby, the wedding is in 4 days. No, it's not. What are you talking about? Of course it is. It's Saturday, October 28th. We've been planning this for 8 months. You've been planning it for 8 months. I've been paying for it for 8 months. Big difference. Are you having some kind of breakdown? Because this isn't funny. I could hear voices in the background. Her co-workers at Henderson, Walsh and Associates, probably gathering around her desk, listening to her half of the conversation. By lunchtime, the entire law firm would know that Zoya Haldenor's wedding had imploded. I canceled everything Sunday morning. Venue, band, photographer, catering, returned the rings, sent cancellation notices to all the guests. You did what? Her voice climbed an octave. You can't cancel our wedding without talking to me. Actually, I can. Everything was booked in my name, paid for with my money. Legally speaking, it was my wedding to cancel. This is insane. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. We can talk about it. But you can't just what? Make unilateral decisions about my own life. Decide I don't want to marry someone who's been cheating on me? The background voices went quiet. I could picture the scene. Zoya standing at her desk in her expensive suit, face flushed with embarrassment, while her colleagues pretended not to listen. I don't know what you think you know, but I know about Deke. The words hit her like a physical blow. I could hear her sharp intake of breath, the way her voice changed when she spoke again. Colby, let me explain. Nothing to explain. You made it very clear Saturday night. You're not married yet, so you can do whatever you want. Well, neither am I. Where are you? I'm coming home. We need to talk about this. I'm not home. Where are you? Running errands. Wedding stuff, you might say. What kind of wedding stuff? Colby, you're scaring me. Don't be scared, Zoya. Be excited. You're about to be a free woman. I hung up before she could respond. The phone rang again immediately. I turned it off. 20 minutes later, I heard tires squealing in my driveway. Through the workshop window, I could see Zoya's silver BMW parked at an angle behind my truck, driver's door still open. She was running toward the house in her work clothes, her usually perfect hair flying behind her. I took my time putting away my tools and cleaning up the workbench. By the time I walked into the house, she was standing in our living room holding the empty wedding folder. "Where are all the contracts?" she demanded. "Cancelled, like I told you." "Show me the cancellation paperwork." I pulled the folder from my desk drawer and handed it to her. She flipped through it frantically. Venue cancellation, band cancellation, photography cancellation, catering cancellation, ring return receipt. "This is real," she whispered. "Very real. But why? Because of some stupid thing I said when I was drinking? Because of some honest thing you said when your guard was down?" Zoya sank onto our couch, still clutching the folder. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked completely lost. "I made a mistake, Colby. A stupid, terrible mistake, but it's over. It meant nothing." 3 months of text messages suggest otherwise. Her face went pale. "You went through my phone? You left it on the kitchen counter. The messages were right there. That's a violation of my privacy. And cheating on your fiancé isn't a violation of trust?" Zoya stood up and started pacing around our small living room, her heels clicking on the hardwood floors. "Okay, yes, I made a mistake. I've been confused, stressed about the wedding, and Deke was there and he listened and things got out of hand. But it's over now. I choose you. I choose us." "Too late." "It's not too late. We can postpone the wedding, go to counseling, work through this." "I don't want to work through this, Zoya. I want out." She stopped pacing and stared at me. "You're serious?" "Completely." "But what about everything we've built together? This house, our life, our plans?" "What life? You mean the life where you work late every night, come home exhausted and resentful, and find excitement with other men because I'm too boring to hold your interest? That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked about my day? When's the last time you seemed happy to see me? When's the last time you looked at me the way you look at Deke?" Zoya opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again. Because she couldn't answer those questions, and we both knew it. "I love you," she said finally. "No, you don't. You love the idea of being married. You love the security, the respectability, the status, but you don't love me." "That's not true." "Prove it. Tell me one thing you love about me that isn't related to how I make your life easier or more comfortable." She was quiet for a long moment. "You're reliable." I laughed, and the sound was bitter even to my own ears. Reliable, like a washing machine or a lawnmower. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. And you're right. I am reliable. Reliable enough to pay for a wedding while you were sneaking around with my best friend. Reliable enough to clean up this mess while you were at work pretending nothing had happened. Zoya sat back down, tears starting to form in her eyes. "What do you want from me? How do I fix this?" "You don't. It's not fixable. Everyone makes mistakes, Colby, everyone. Some mistakes are bigger than others. So that's it? 8 years together, and you're just throwing it all away?" "I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that." My phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced at it quickly. Iris, confirming our flight details for Friday. Zoya noticed. "Who's texting you?" "A friend." "What friend?" "Someone who's looking forward to spending time with me." Suspicion flickered in her eyes. "Colby? What aren't you telling me?" "Nothing you need to know." "Are you seeing someone else? Is that what this is about?" "This is about you cheating on me for 3 months. Don't try to turn it around." Zoya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing her mascara. "What happens now? Do I move out? Do you move out? How do we handle the house?" "We'll figure it out when I get back." "Get back from where?" "Mexico." She blinked. "What?" "I'm going to Mexico. Friday morning." "You're going on our honeymoon? By yourself?" "Not by myself." The words hit her like a slap. With who? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Who are you going to Mexico with, Colby? I could have lied. I could have made up a story about going with my brother or an old college friend. But I was tired of protecting her feelings when she'd never bothered to protect mine. Your sister. Zoya's face went through a series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, understanding, and finally, rage. Iris? You're taking Iris on our honeymoon? I'm taking a friend on a vacation. The fact that it was supposed to be our honeymoon is just ironic timing. She's my sister. She's also a grown woman who can make her own decisions. How long have you been planning this? Since Monday. Monday? You asked my sister to go to Mexico with you on Monday? I asked a friend if she wanted to use some non-refundable plane tickets instead of letting them go to waste. She said yes. Zoya stood up so fast, she knocked over the coffee table. This is sick. This is twisted. You're trying to hurt me. I'm trying to have a nice vacation with someone who actually wants to spend time with me. Iris doesn't want to spend time with you. She's just trying to get back at me for something. For what? I don't know. But this isn't about you and her. This is about you trying to humiliate me. Everything isn't about you, Zoya. She started pacing again, her movements sharp and agitated. I won't let you do this. I'll call her. I'll explain what's really happening here. Go ahead. Call her. I will. Good. While you're at it, maybe ask her when's the last time you called just to see how she was doing. Ask her when's the last time you showed any interest in her life that wasn't related to what she could do for you. Zoya pulled out her phone and dialed Iris's number. I could hear it ringing on speaker. Hi, you've reached Iris Haldenor. I'm not available right now, but leave a message and I'll get back to you. Iris, it's me. Call me back immediately. We need to talk about this insane plan you've made with Colby. This is not okay. This is not normal. Call me. She hung up and glared at me. She's avoiding my calls. Maybe she's just busy, teaching, working, having a life that doesn't revolve around your drama. This is my sister we're talking about. And she's my friend. Since when? Since she started treating me better than my own fiancé does. The words hung in the air between us. Zoya stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You're in love with her. I'm in like with her. She's kind, funny, intelligent, and she doesn't make me feel like a consolation prize. She's using you to get back at me. For what? Being a terrible sister? Zoya's phone rang. She grabbed it eagerly. Iris? But it wasn't Iris. It was her mother. Zoya, honey, what's this I hear about the wedding being canceled? Zoya looked at me with pure hatred in her eyes. I'll call you back, Mom. She hung up and threw her phone on the couch. This is a nightmare. This is consequences. I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight for us. There is no us anymore. There's always an us. We're connected, Colby. We have history. We have history. We don't have a future. Zoya picked up her purse and headed for the door. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I'll be back tonight. We're going to talk about this properly. I won't be here tonight. Where will you be? Somewhere else. She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. I watched her BMW tear out of the driveway, then picked up my phone and called Iris. Hey, she answered on the first ring. How's your day going? Zoya knows about Mexico. I figured she might. She's called me 6 times in the last hour. Are you having second thoughts? About Mexico? No. About getting involved in this family drama? Maybe. We don't have to do this, Iris. If it's going to cause problems for you. Colby, I'm 34 years old. I've spent my entire adult life being the responsible sister, the reliable daughter, the one who never makes waves. And where has it gotten me? Alone in a studio apartment, grading papers on Friday nights while my sister lives the life I always wanted. What life is that? The life where someone loves her enough to plan a beautiful wedding, even if she was too stupid to appreciate it. Iris, I'm not backing out, Colby. I'm going to Mexico with you, and I'm going to have a wonderful time. And if Zoya doesn't like it, that's her problem. She thinks you're trying to get back at her. Maybe I am. Is that so wrong? No, it's not wrong at all. Good, because I'm tired of being the good sister. Pack your bags, Colby. We're going to have the honeymoon you deserve. After she hung up, I sat in my quiet house and thought about Saturday morning. In less than 4 days, I would be on a plane to Mexico with a woman who actually wanted to be there. And Zoya would be standing in an empty community center, trying to explain to whatever guests showed up why there was no groom, no ceremony, and no future. The thought should have made me feel guilty. Instead, it made me feel free. Thursday night arrived with the kind of electric tension that comes before a storm. I'd spent the day packing for Mexico and fielding phone calls from concerned relatives who'd heard various versions of the story through Briar Lake's gossip network. My suitcase sat by the front door, ready for tomorrow morning's flight. Zoya hadn't been home since Tuesday's confrontation. According to Mrs. Blevins, who'd made it her personal mission to keep me informed, Zoya was staying at her parents' house across town, plotting her next move, with the determination of a general planning a military campaign. I was reading on the couch when headlights swept across our front windows. Not just one car, 3 cars, pulling into my driveway in formation. Through the window, I could see Zoya getting out of her BMW, followed by her parents from their Cadillac, and Deacon Cross from his flashy red Corvette. The cavalry had arrived. I opened the door before they could knock. Zoya stood on my front porch wearing her best dress, the navy blue one she wore to court when she wanted to look authoritative. Behind her, Harold and Margaret Haldenor looked like they were attending a funeral. Deke hung back by the cars, probably wishing he was anywhere else. "We need to talk," Zoya announced. "About what?" "About salvaging this situation before you do something you'll regret for the rest of your life." Harold Haldenor stepped forward. He was a big man, used to getting his way through sheer physical presence and volume. "Son, I think there's been a misunderstanding here." "No misunderstanding, Mr. Haldenor, just a canceled wedding." "Now, let's be reasonable about this," Margaret chimed in. She was a small, nervous woman who'd spent 30 years married to Harold by agreeing with everything he said. "Young people have disagreements. It's normal. But canceling a wedding 3 days before the ceremony? That's extreme. What's extreme is your daughter cheating on me for 3 months." Harold's face darkened. "That's a serious accusation." "It's a serious situation." Zoya pushed past her parents into my living room. "Can we discuss this inside? The whole neighborhood is watching." She was right. Mrs. Blevins was practically pressed against her window, and I could see other curtains twitching up and down the street. This confrontation would be front-page news in tomorrow's gossip circles. I stepped aside and let them in. Harold and Margaret took the couch, sitting stiffly like they were in a doctor's waiting room. Zoya remained standing, pacing in small circles. Deke stayed by the door, looking like he wanted to bolt. "Colby," Harold began in his best courtroom voice, "I understand you're upset, but marriage is about forgiveness. It's about working through problems together." "Is that what you told Zoya when she was working through problems with Deke?" Margaret gasped. Harold's jaw tightened. Deke studied his shoes with intense concentration. "That's water under the bridge now," Harold continued. "What matters is moving forward, fixing this before it's too late." "It's already too late." "No, it's not." Zoya stopped pacing and faced me. "I've been thinking about what you said, about how I've been taking you for granted, not appreciating what we have. You're right. I've been selfish and stupid, and I'm sorry, but we can fix this." "How?" "We postpone the wedding. Take some time to work on our relationship. Go to counseling. Prove to you that I'm serious about us." "And what about Deke?" All eyes turned to my former best friend, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world. "That's over," Zoya said quickly. Completely over. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness, and it's done. Deke? I looked directly at him. Is it over? He cleared his throat uncomfortably. Yeah, man, it's over. I'm sorry about, the whole thing. I never meant for it to go this far. How far did you mean for it to go? I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. For 3 months? Colby, Harold interrupted. What's done is done. The question is what happens next. Do you want to save your relationship or throw away 8 years over a mistake? I want to go to Mexico tomorrow morning. With my other daughter, Margaret added quietly. It was the first time she'd spoken since the accusations started flying. With Iris? Yes. Harold leaned forward. Son, that's not going to solve anything. That's just going to create more problems. What kind of problems? Family problems. You take Iris on this trip, you're going to drive a wedge between the sisters that might never heal. Maybe it's time for that wedge. Margaret looked confused. What do you mean? When's the last time Zoya called Iris just to talk? When's the last time she asked how Iris was doing, or if she needed anything, or if she was happy? Silence. When's the last time any of you asked those questions? More silence. Iris has spent her whole life being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who never causes problems. And what has she gotten for it? A studio apartment, a job that barely pays the bills, and a family that takes her for granted. That's not true, Zoya protested. Isn't it? Name one time in the last year that you've done something nice for Iris, one time you've put her needs before your own. Zoya opened her mouth, then closed it again. I thought so. Harold tried a different approach. Look, I understand you're angry. You have every right to be. But taking Iris on this trip isn't about being nice to her. It's about getting revenge on Zoya. Maybe it's both. That's not fair to Iris. You're using her to hurt my daughter. No, I'm giving her a vacation she deserves with someone who appreciates her company. You're putting her in the middle of your relationship drama. Zoya did that when she decided to cheat on me. Deke finally spoke up. Maybe I should go. This is between you guys. No, I said firmly. Stay. You're part of this too. Colby? You were my best friend, Deke. We grew up together, played football together. I was the best man at your wedding, and you repaid that friendship by sleeping with my fiancée. I know. I screwed up. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything. What do you want me to do? I can't change what happened. I want you to understand what you cost me. Not just my relationship with Zoya, my ability to trust people, my faith in friendship, my belief that people are basically decent. Deke looked genuinely remorseful. I never thought about it like that. You never thought, period. Harold stood up, clearly frustrated with the direction of the conversation. This is getting us nowhere. Colby, what's it going to take to fix this situation? It's not fixable. Everything's fixable if both parties want to fix it. But I don't want to fix it. I want out. Zoya sat down hard on the arm of the couch. So that's it? You've made up your mind and nothing I say or do matters? You made up your mind 3 months ago when you started this affair. I'm just catching up. I chose you. In the end, I chose you. You chose security. You chose respectability. You chose the safe option. That's not the same thing as choosing me. Margaret spoke up again. What about Iris? Have you thought about what this is going to do to her? What do you mean? She's a sweet girl, Colby. Innocent. Trusting. If you take her on this trip, she's going to think it means something. She's going to develop feelings for you. Maybe she already has feelings for me. And maybe you're taking advantage of those feelings to hurt Zoya. The accusation stung because there was some truth to it, but not the whole truth. Iris is an adult. She can make her own decisions. She's also vulnerable. She's never had a serious relationship, never had a man treat her the way you're treating her. She's going to fall in love with you. Would that be so terrible? The question surprised everyone, including me. What are you saying? Zoya asked. I'm saying maybe Iris deserves someone who treats her well. Maybe she deserves someone who appreciates her kindness and intelligence and humor. Maybe she deserves someone who doesn't take her for granted. Someone like you? Maybe. Zoya stood up abruptly. This is insane. You're talking about my sister like she's some kind of consolation prize. No, I'm talking about her like she's a remarkable woman who's been overlooked by everyone in her life, including her own family. She's my sister. And I was your fiancé. That didn't stop you from cheating on me. Harold tried to regain control of the situation. Let's everyone calm down here. We're all saying things we don't mean. I mean every word I've said. Colby, Margaret said gently. I understand you're hurt, but don't make decisions when you're angry that you'll regret when you're thinking clearly. I've never been thinking more clearly in my life. My phone buzzed with a text message. Iris. Flight confirmation received. See you at the airport tomorrow morning. Can't wait. I showed the message to the room. She seems pretty excited about it. Zoya grabbed for my phone. Let me see that. I pulled it away. It's not your business anymore. She's my sister. Everything about her is my business. No, it's not. She's 34 years old. She doesn't need your permission to live her life. This isn't living her life. This is ruining her life. How is a week in Mexico going to ruin her life? Because she's going to fall in love with you, and you're going to break her heart when you come back and realize this was all about getting revenge on me. The room went quiet. Even Harold seemed to be waiting for my response. What if it's not about revenge? I said finally. What if it's about two people who deserve better than they've been getting? You don't love her. I could. The words surprised me as much as they surprised everyone else, but as soon as I said them, I realized they were true. You're in love with the idea of her, Zoya continued. You're in love with how different she is from me, but that's not the same thing as being in love with her. Maybe not, but it's a start. Deke cleared his throat. Maybe we should let them work this out. No, Harold said firmly. We're not leaving until this is resolved. It is resolved. I'm going to Mexico tomorrow with Iris. Zoya can do whatever she wants. She's not married yet, remember? The call back to her Saturday night comment hit home. Zoya flinched like I'd slapped her. That's not fair. Fair went out the window when you started sleeping with my best friend. Harold stood up again. That's enough. We're going to settle this right now, like adults. It's already settled. No, it's not. You're going to call Iris and tell her the trip is off. You're going to postpone this wedding until you and Zoya can work through your problems, and you're going to stop using that girl to hurt my daughter. Or what? Harold's face darkened. Or there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind you won't like. I laughed. Are you threatening me, Mr. Haldenor? I'm promising you that if you hurt Iris to get back at Zoya, you'll answer to me. I'm not going to hurt Iris. You already are hurting her. You're putting her in an impossible situation. The only impossible situation here is the one Zoya created when she decided to cheat on me. Margaret started crying quietly. Zoya sat back down, looking defeated. Deke continued studying his shoes. Harold glared at me like I was a hostile witness. This is my final offer, I said. Everyone leaves now and we all move on with our lives. Or you can stay here and keep arguing, but it won't change anything. Either way, I'm getting on that plane tomorrow morning. With my sister, Zoya added bitterly. With my friend. Harold looked like he wanted to say something else, but Margaret touched his arm. Come on, Harold. Let's go home. This isn't over, Harold said as they headed for the door. Yes, it is. Zoya was the last to leave. She paused at the door and looked back at me. I love you, Colby. Despite everything that's happened, despite all the mistakes I've made, I love you. And I think you still love me too. I love the person I thought you were, but that person doesn't exist. She does exist. She's just been lost for a while. Too long? It's not too late. It's never too late. Sometimes it is. She nodded sadly and walked out to her car. I watched from the window as the 3-car caravan pulled out of my driveway and disappeared into the night. Then I went to my bedroom and set my alarm for 6 a.m. Tomorrow, I would be free. Friday morning dawned clear and crisp, the kind of October day that made Briar Lake look like a postcard. I was up before my alarm, showered and dressed by 7, double-checking my passport and boarding pass for the 3rd time. The house felt different, lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted from its foundation. My suitcase was packed with summer clothes I hadn't worn in years: shorts, t-shirts, sandals, a swimsuit that still had tags on it, everything I'd need for a week in paradise with someone who actually wanted to be there. The phone rang at 7:30. Zoya's number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again at 7:45. This time I answered. What? Please don't do this. Her voice was thick with tears. Please don't get on that plane. I'm already packed. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. We'll move away from here, start fresh somewhere else. Just please don't take my sister away from me. I'm not taking her anywhere. She's choosing to come. Because you're manipulating her. Because I asked her if she wanted to use some plane tickets instead of letting them go to waste, and she said yes. She doesn't understand what this means. What does it mean, Zoya? It means you're choosing her over me. I'm choosing myself over you. There's a difference. What about everything we built together? Our house, our life, our plans. What about them? You're just going to throw it all away? I'm going to Mexico for a week. When I get back, we'll figure out the logistics. With lawyers? If necessary. Zoya was quiet for a moment. I called Iris last night. And? She wouldn't talk to me. She said she was busy packing. Sounds like she's excited about the trip. She's excited about you. Maybe. Colby, she's my baby sister. I've protected her my whole life. From what? From getting hurt. From making mistakes. From men who would take advantage of her. Like me? I don't know. Maybe. I looked around my modest house, at the life I'd built with careful planning and honest work. What exactly do you think I'm going to do to her, Zoya? Break her heart. The way you broke mine? That's different. How? Because she's innocent. She believes in fairy tales and happy endings. When this doesn't work out, it's going to destroy her faith in love. What makes you so sure it won't work out? Because you don't love her. You love the idea of her. You love how different she is from me. But when the novelty wears off, you'll realize she's just a small-town school teacher who's never been anywhere or done anything exciting. And what are you? I'm the woman you've loved for 8 years. Past tense, present tense. You still love me, Colby. You're just angry. I have to go. My flight leaves in 3 hours. Wait. Just wait. One more thing. What? If you do this, if you take her on this trip, there's no coming back from it. You understand that, right? This ends us forever. We ended the night you came home at 3 a.m. smelling like Deke's cologne. I hung up and turned off my phone. At 8:30, I loaded my suitcase into my truck and drove toward the airport. Briar Lake looked peaceful in the morning light, tree-lined streets, well-kept houses, the kind of place where people raised families and lived quiet, predictable lives. I'd been happy here once. Maybe I would be again someday, but not today. Today I was leaving. The regional airport was 20 minutes outside town, a small facility that mostly handled commuter flights and private planes. I parked in the long-term lot and walked into the terminal, pulling my suitcase behind me. Iris was already there, sitting in the departure lounge with a book in her lap and a small carry-on bag at her feet. She was wearing a sundress I'd never seen before, yellow with small white flowers and sandals that showed off her painted toenails. Her hair was loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back in her usual ponytail. She looked beautiful. "Ready for an adventure?" I asked, sitting down beside her. "More ready than I've ever been for anything." She smiled, and I noticed she was wearing lipstick. "I can't believe we're actually doing this." "Having second thoughts?" "Third and fourth thoughts, but I'm still here." "What did you tell your parents?" "That I was going on vacation with a friend. They didn't ask for details." "And Zoya?" Iris's smile faded slightly. "She's called me 17 times since yesterday. I finally had to turn off my phone." "She's worried about you." "She's worried about herself. She's worried that her little sister might actually have something good happen to her for once." "Is that what this is? Something good?" Iris looked at me seriously. "I don't know yet, but it feels like a possibility." Our flight was called at 10:15. As we walked toward the gate, I caught sight of a familiar figure near the entrance. Zoya, still in her work clothes from yesterday, looking like she hadn't slept. She was scanning the departure lounge, probably hoping to spot us before we boarded. "Don't look back," I told Iris. "Is she here?" "Yes. I figured she might be." We handed our boarding passes to the gate agent and walked down the jetway. Behind us, I could hear Zoya calling our names, but we kept walking. The plane was a small regional jet with 2 seats on each side of the aisle. Iris took the window seat, and I took the aisle. As the plane pushed back from the gate, she pressed her face to the window. "I can see her," Iris said quietly. "She's standing at the window watching us leave." "How do you feel about that?" "Sad, and guilty, and free." She turned to look at me. "Is that terrible?" "It's honest." The plane taxied to the runway and accelerated into the sky. Below us, Briar Lake shrank to the size of a toy town, then disappeared entirely beneath the clouds. "No going back now," Iris said. "No going back." The flight to Dallas was smooth and quiet. Iris read her book, something by Jane Austen, while I dozed fitfully. During our layover, we grabbed coffee and sandwiches and talked about everything except the situation we'd left behind. The flight to Cancun was longer, more crowded, filled with honeymooners and spring breakers and families heading to resort vacations. Iris stared out the window as we descended over the Yucatan Peninsula, watching the turquoise water and white sand beaches grow larger beneath us. "It's beautiful," she breathed. "It is. I've never seen water that color before. Wait until you see it up close." We landed at Cancun International Airport at 3 in the afternoon, local time. The heat hit us like a wall when we stepped off the plane, humid, tropical, completely different from the crisp October air we'd left behind in Michigan. The resort shuttle was waiting outside baggage claim, a comfortable van with air conditioning and a driver who spoke perfect English. As we rode through the hotel zone, Iris pressed her face to the window like a child seeing Disney World for the first time. "Look at those hotels," she marveled. "They're enormous." "Wait until you see ours." The Grand Palladium was a sprawling resort complex right on the beach, with multiple pools, restaurants, and bars scattered across perfectly manicured grounds. Our rooms were in the adults-only section, on the 3rd floor with ocean views. "This is incredible," Iris said as we checked in. "How much did this cost?" "Don't worry about it." "Colby, this must have cost thousands of dollars." "It's already paid for. Might as well enjoy it." Our rooms were next to each other, connected by a door that we left unlocked. Iris disappeared into hers to unpack and change, while I did the same. When we met on the balcony 20 minutes later, she was wearing a blue bikini covered by a white sarong, her hair pulled back in a loose bun. "Beach?" she asked. "Absolutely." We walked down to the white sand beach, where resort staff had set up rows of lounge chairs under colorful umbrellas. The water was exactly as beautiful as it had looked from the plane, crystal clear and impossibly blue, warm as a bathtub. Iris waded in slowly, testing the temperature, then dove under completely. When she surfaced, she was laughing. "This is amazing. The water's so warm." I joined her in the waves, and for the first time in days, I felt completely relaxed. No wedding stress, no relationship drama, no phone calls or confrontations, just sun and sand and clear blue water. We spent the afternoon swimming and reading on the beach. Iris had brought a stack of books, but she barely opened them. She was too busy watching everything: the pelicans diving for fish, the resort staff setting up for evening activities, the other guests enjoying their vacations. "I feel like I'm in a movie," she said as we walked back to our rooms to get ready for dinner. "A good movie?" "The best movie. The kind where the shy girl gets swept away on an adventure she never thought she'd have." What happens to the shy girl in those movies? She discovers she's braver than she thought, and usually falls in love with someone unexpected. Sounds like a good story. It is. But I'm not sure about the ending yet. We had dinner at the resort's beachside restaurant, a casual place with tables right in the sand and tiki torches providing flickering light. Iris ordered fish tacos and a frozen margarita, her first alcoholic drink since we'd arrived. "To unexpected adventures," she said, raising her glass. "To new beginnings," I replied. We clinked glasses and drank, watching the sun set over the Caribbean. The sky turned brilliant orange and pink, reflecting off the water in shimmering waves. "Colby?" Iris said as the last light faded from the sky. "Yeah?" "Thank you for asking me to come, for treating me like someone worth spending time with." "You are worth spending time with." Zoya never thought so. Zoya's an idiot. Iris laughed. "She's my sister." "She's still an idiot." "What happens when we go back? What happens between you and her?" "I don't know. Lawyers probably. Dividing up our stuff, figuring out who keeps the house." "And between us?" I looked at her across the table, this woman who'd been part of my life for years, but who I was really seeing for the first time. "I don't know that either, but I'd like to find out." "Even if it means losing Zoya forever?" "I lost Zoya 3 months ago. I just didn't know it yet." Iris nodded slowly. "And if this doesn't work out, if we go back and realize this was just a vacation romance, then at least we'll have had one perfect week." "One perfect week," she repeated. "I can live with that." But as we walked back to our rooms along the moonlit beach, I realized I wanted more than one perfect week. I wanted to see what might happen if we gave this a real chance. I wanted to find out if the woman walking beside me might be the answer to questions I'd been afraid to ask. Tomorrow was Saturday, the day I was supposed to be getting married to Zoya. Instead, I would be waking up in paradise with her sister. The irony was perfect. The future was uncertain, and for the first time in years, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Saturday morning in paradise arrived with gentle waves lapping at the shore and tropical birds singing in the palm trees outside our balcony. I woke up slowly, peacefully, in a comfortable bed in a beautiful resort, with no wedding to worry about and nowhere I had to be. It was 10:30 in the morning in Cancun, which meant it was 11:30 back in Briar Lake. Right about now, guests would have been arriving at the Briar Lake Community Center, looking for a wedding that no longer existed. I was having breakfast on my balcony, fresh fruit, strong coffee, and warm pastries from room service, when my phone rang. I'd turned it back on the night before, more out of curiosity than necessity. Zoya's name appeared on the screen. I almost didn't answer. Almost let it go to voicemail like all the other calls I'd been ignoring. But something made me pick up. "Hello? Where are you?" Her voice was sharp, panicked, desperate. "Everything is about to start." I could hear chaos in the background, confused voices, people asking questions, the sound of someone crying, probably her mother. "I'm on my honeymoon," I said calmly, taking a sip of my coffee. "What? Colby, this isn't funny. People are here. The photographer is here. The minister is here. Where are you?" I told you, I'm on my honeymoon. But we're not married yet. No, we're not, and we're not going to be. There was a long pause. In the background, I could hear Harold's voice, loud and angry, demanding to know what was happening. You can't do this, Zoya whispered. You can't just not show up to your own wedding. I can, and I did. But everyone's here. My family, your family, all our friends. What am I supposed to tell them? Tell them the truth. Tell them you've been cheating on me for 3 months, and I decided I deserved better. Colby, please, come home. We can work this out. I am home. I'm exactly where I want to be. Where? Where are you? Mexico. Using those non-refundable tickets you knew about. Another pause. With who? You know with who. Iris. Her voice broke on her sister's name. You're in Mexico with Iris. I'm in Mexico with someone who actually wants to spend time with me. She's my sister. She's my friend. And she's wonderful company. Through the connecting door between our rooms, I could hear Iris moving around, probably getting ready for another day in paradise. She'd been nothing but delightful since we'd arrived. Grateful, funny, adventurous, everything I'd forgotten I wanted in a companion. This is sick, Zoya said. This is twisted. You're using her to get back at me. I'm using airline tickets that were already paid for to take a vacation with someone who appreciates the gesture. What am I supposed to do? There are 60 people here expecting a wedding. That's your problem to solve. My problem? This is our problem. No, it's your problem. You created it when you decided to cheat on me. You can figure out how to clean it up. I could hear Harold's voice getting louder, more demanding. Someone was crying. Definitely Margaret this time. The chaos was escalating. I can't do this alone, Zoya said. I can't face all these people alone. You should have thought of that before you started sleeping with Deke. That's over. I told you, it's over. So are we. Colby, please. I have to go. I'm missing breakfast with a beautiful woman who actually wants to be here. Don't hang up. Don't you dare hang up. Goodbye, Zoya. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Through the connecting door, I heard a soft knock. Colby, everything okay? Everything's perfect, I called back. Ready for the beach? More than ready. I finished my coffee and got ready for another day in paradise. Somewhere back in Briar Lake, Zoya was dealing with the consequences of her choices. Vendors were asking for direction. Guests were demanding explanations. Her parents were probably having a collective breakdown. But that was her problem now. I was on my honeymoon with someone who deserved it.